Pyongyang's weapons tests are familiar. As leader Kim Jong-un presided over the so-called Day of the Sun, honoring his grandfather's birth, one top official warned that reckless US provocation would bring an annihilating strike. The US attack on a Syrian airfield has raised questions over its plans for North Korea. On Thursday came this warning.
The time for action is now, and by that we need to look at ways to put increased pressure on North Korea in order for it to recognize the reality that it needs to pursue denuclearization.
China, whose foreign minister met his French counterpart in Beijing on Friday, has said it wants to cooperate with Russia to calm tension over North Korea as quickly as possible and bring all parties to the negotiating table. It's stepped up economic pressure on Pyongyang. With US ships on their way to the region and following the huge bomb dropped in Afghanistan, the official Chinese Communist Party newspaper said North Korea must have felt the shockwaves. Two senior Afghan officials have said the huge bomb launched by the United States against the so-called Islamic State killed at least 90 fighters, many more than previous estimates of around 30. The governor of the district bordering Pakistan, where the 11-ton explosive was dropped, says 3 tunnels in which the militants had taken up position were destroyed in the attack. Fighting has intensified over the past few weeks as Afghan forces backed by American support try to root out the Islamists. Experts believe ISIL has installed bases close to villages, obliging thousands of families to leave the area. A US official who monitored the recent attack, which saw one of the biggest conventional bombs ever to be used in combat, said it was impossible to determine how many fighters might be buried underground.
By day and by night, they're on the move. Thousands of civilians and fighters evacuated from 4 besieged towns in Syria under a deal struck between the Assad regime and rebels. These transfers are the latest in a long series over 6 years of civil war. Encircled by insurgents, people from the pro-government Shiite towns of Kafraya and Al-Fua are being taken to regime-held areas, while those in rebel-held Zabadani and Madaya, under siege from pro-Assad forces, are being bused to the insurgents' northwestern stronghold in Idlib province. After 2 years of living under siege, evacuees were allowed to leave under the agreement brokered by Qatar, which supports the rebels, and Iran, which backs the regime. Many in the opposition view this as forced demographic change, while others claim men, women and children are simply being transferred from one danger zone to another.